3000 or visit our website at ESPNpensacola.com.
ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM, WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Today we're going to have some fun breaking down all the big games, and we'll see if we get to one that maybe or maybe not the president was at.
The NFL's all-time leading rusher. Across the middle, it is caught for the first. It's Baldwin shaking free and sprinting down the sideline for the touchdown. His third of the day. Doug Baldwin.
Derek Brooks, who ran back 3 interceptions for touchdowns in the regular season, does it to cement the Super Bowl.
Boxing's elite, the new WBA heavyweight champion of the world, Roy Jones Jr.
Brock's been beaten. The result has come up on screens that Gatlin's taken it. Goodness me, it was a blue American vest. 992 for Gatlin. 992 by the American champion to take gold.
Another Watson is wearing a green jacket at Augusta. And this time, his name is Bubba. Scores on a 34-yard touchdown run by the Doak Walker Award winner, Trent Richardson, who broke a lot of Emmett Smith's records back in Pensacola, Florida.
And welcome into the Sports Drive right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Simulcast on Blab TV. I am Chad Brilliante. Glad to be with you here on this Veterans Day where, a lot of people, this is, I would hope for a day, people can put politics, everything aside, and just, if you see anybody, especially where we live, but at any time, anybody in the family, anybody you see out there, and just thank the veterans for each and every one of them, our men or women that have fought for our freedom, the opportunity so we can argue and put LSU and Alabama memes, so we can talk about the fun things of life, like arguing football with a U against football with an O, as Joe Ford joins us here, alluding to that perfect timing right there. As well, we will talk with Jeff Price, have some fun today, but we'll get to all that and more coming up on the program. What to start with today, honestly, and it is going to be a fun day. You can weigh in 850-623-1330. Now, the Paul Feinbaum show just ended, so if your air of grievances window as an Alabama fan, we will 2 to 5 tomorrow. We will continue that. We will hear. You can see I have put my prop up here with now the LSU Bear that has never sat on the stage, and I actually picked Alabama to win, and I did microwave a meal that night. But this is now right there front and center. Joining us, Joe Ford, Jeff Price. Joe, what's happening, my friend?
Great weekend. I'm really excited to talk to you guys about it, and I'm really excited to hear what listeners have to say as well, because such a consequential weekend, I believe. And regardless of whatever the rankings say today, what the playoff committee says today, I think Alabama is eliminated from consideration, and I am very strongly opinionated on that. And I would like to hear from Alabama fans suggesting why they think they are still in it. I think that they are done for this year. And, yeah.
Jeff Price is now in the not the warmest seat in the building right now. Let me see. I think most of the people in their car just gave Joe's answer the Minnesota the Golden Gopher look on there like this. Like when you said that. But, hey, I understand what you're saying. And this is going to be fun having this discussion today because there's a lot of different angles. Jeff, what's happening, my friend? How's the bye week served you guys well when everybody else was beating each other up as an Oregon fan?
Yeah, it's always good when we don't lose. And then my Titans pulled off the upset yesterday against Kansas City.
That was awesome right there. And deservingly so. That was awesome. I think people forget when they're watching that game Joe, that Ryan Tannehill was a wide receiver at one point? That's so cool to watch a quarterback.
Forgot he was a quarterback at one point.
That's
Exactly.
a good point there. That's a better point. But I love when he put the shoulder down and just straight out ran over the guy at the goal line. Like he was going to be stopped. Got that 2-point conversion. And one that apparently, I was talking to Coach K today, but Kansas City is not looking. This was the big research project today because it's hard to find in any archives, even like ESPN The Ocho. But Kansas City's not actually looking today for a placeholder and a snapper, a long snapper, which I was surprised. But, congratulations. That was a big win right there.
Can I just say that that's another player, talking about Ryan Tannehill, that got away from Adam Gase is having success. Congratulations for him.
There you go. Apparently, there's a long window of it. Now, Sam Darnold does believe officially
he does.
that it's not over. He's not seeing ghosts anymore, and he's 2-7. So at this point, though, look, you guys are smiling at me. I'm wearing the Pats gear today, but you guys are both on winning streaks. The Jets and Titans, and the Patriots, after the bye week, are on a losing streak. So I'm going to give you that. Look, for me right now, between UCF and our Tulsa game, I've had to take some stuff. So I'm going to back up. And even I told my wife when we were watching the LSU game, because she never, with Bama, it's the one game where she's like, until it's over, until the clock hits 0, I'm not buying it. It's like, no, don't worry, honey. It's 12 points. So she went in and checked on Leighton, was in the back playing with some really cool, like Aladdin Lego toys. And all of a sudden, we walked over there, and she's like, all right, so is it over yet? I'm like, actually, and it was right after the 85-yard over-the-top play on one. I was like, oh, crap, how am I going to put this to her? I'm like, yeah, they scored. But you said they were kicking off. I was like, yeah, that was like 15 seconds ago. And then at that point, it was that much closer. But from the game itself, guys, there's so many storylines to this. Edo added some more storylines after his comments. But I do want to say, with everything, Joe, I'll let you start here with – did Joe Burrow solidify himself, even with Tua's injury, as the best player in college football?
Unequivocally, yes.
Yeah.
He is the Heisman Trophy winner if he never takes a snap again for the rest of the year.
I think that's fair.
I believe that. Yeah. He has, at every opportunity, I don't have the stats in front of me. I know at one point his completion percentage.
We don't do stats here. You know it's
right. Yeah, he was, something ridiculous, which he has been all season long. And you talk about program-defining players and just such a change in everything from just how good they've played, the momentum, the energy surrounding the program. There's absolutely no question that Joe Burrow is the most outstanding player in the country.
Jeff, as I was going to go to you on this next segment, I realized the product placement of your Oregon duck ball in all the shots here. He's figured out the camera angles in all three of them, and now but that's okay. It's your team. I like it. I've product placed the LSU Bear like I'm.
It's the only place that I don't get egged
exactly.
when I wear Oregon stuff.
Listen, when you're in a room with a Patriot, you're not the guy that's going to get egged. So go ahead and what do you think of what we saw from this week?
I agree. I mean, how do you say different? I mean, Joe Burrow has been top notch, and look at with Tua, and Tua's fantastic. He's going to have, if he can stay healthy now, I think is the big issue going forward in his NFL career. No doubt he'll be in the NFL and he'll win a lot of games, but with Burrow, he kind of came out of nowhere, and we saw that the past few years, kind of that boring same style LSU offense. They finally let him free. You got Brady there showing him how to do it and really just coaching him up, and you see how much that's really done for them as a team. And letting Brady just coach the quarterbacks is phenomenal, but we talk about it right here, and I know we don't like stats, but I had to pull it up because I was curious. 3,200 yards, 33 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and a QB rating of 92.6. And look at who he's played.
Yeah.
He's played probably the toughest schedule in college football, and he's got that. That is crazy. That's like the number one prospect in high school type numbers right there, and he's doing it in college, playing at the highest level. What else can you say about him?
And also when it went from a moment of the LED lights, they just changed that, and I'm sure the timing of it wasn't coincidental with some of these games coming up, but all the HD lights and how it almost looked like Bellingrath during Christmas down the road in Mobile, and just the craziness. But every time Alabama started to creep back, you felt that momentum, and we've seen this in sports so many times when there's that momentum shift, and people are just sitting back like, man, they're going to do it again. And this time, you had Joe Burrow every time on third down figured out a way. And it wasn't always easy either. I mean, sometimes people look back and you think it's, guy wide open over the middle. He had a couple times create a play, figure it out, and scramble for the first down with his legs. But every single time there was a big play, Joe Burrow made it. And he's been doing that all season. He's only been getting better. It's not coincidence that Joe Brady and some of the guys are working with him because remember, this team last year got shut out. He got goose egg at home versus this team. They've opened it up. They've let him be him. And he's proven that he's not only the best player, but now the tanking model, now that apparently the Jets and the Dolphins have started to go the other way. Their fans are like, stop winning. What's happening here? Cincinnati, the Bengals with Ryan Finley, who are clearly heading the other way after yesterday's game, are now looking at Joe Burrow as the guy. And frankly, I wouldn't blame him at all. To me right now, it's probably Burrow, and then we'll see the health of Tua compared to him and also a guy in Justin Herbert, because you don't want to send today's NFL game a mobile quarterback into the NFL with already 2 high ankle sprains during his 2.5 years. It's not a good start. Speaking of all the college football games, what's funny with this is going into this week, because that's what we do. When the confetti was hitting against Clemson last year, they were like, congratulations to the Tigers. Now, the 2020 odds for this year is like as the confetti flew, they're like Alabama checking in at 1. Like, can we just savor the moment for 2 seconds? But Auburn, it's funny, Auburn plays Georgia this week. And what's hilarious about it is whether they want to or not, whether people are yelling at Feinbaum or not, Auburn, their biggest fans this week have to be the Alabama Crimson Tide by far. Because if Auburn beats Georgia, first off, it probably eliminates Georgia from the possibility of setting up the scenario where Georgia and LSU, because they're on the path right now to play in the SEC title game. If Georgia and LSU meet and Georgia ends up beating LSU, then Georgia and LSU are the 1 and 2 out of the SEC that will be going. Then Alabama would be the third, and they're not going to put 3 teams in because we pretty much just already presented. There should be a speech right now for Clemson thanking them after their hardest game against Wake, and they're like a 28-point favorite this week. So if you're a fan, Alabama fans really have to celebrate and sing Kumbaya. And on top of that, it also helps them and catapults them because the final image of Alabama will be a game against Auburn in that Iron Bowl at Jordan-Hare. So if they go out there and they win that game and they look good doing it, and Auburn just beat Georgia and they have a pretty good resume, that's going to be tough for the committee to leave them out. And I know, and Joe, I'll let you talk here because that's something you said at the beginning. And look, we've seen this rodeo, and I know you speak on behalf. You're not just, if Ohio State's playing bad, same with you with Oregon. My UCF Knights just lost to Tulsa. I'm not even having this conversation. We're wasting time as it speaks. But what do you say about when you hear that, the possibility of Alabama still being in it?
I think it is right now less than 1% that Alabama is getting in, and here's why. There is, and again, to preface, whatever the rankings say this week, whatever they say next week does not matter. I think they're 4th right now in the AP, in the playoff committee rankings. They may be 4th, they may be 5th, or whatever. It doesn't matter, because at this moment right now, there is not a single shred of evidence to suggest, based on everything that we've seen from the start of the season until now, that there is anything that leads me to think that Alabama is one of the 4 best teams. In a month from now, there will not be one shred of evidence that tells me that Alabama is one of the 4 best teams. Because you can have the benefit of the doubt if you have on your resume, on your schedule, 1, 2, 3 top 10 wins. We've seen that in the college football playoff before with Ohio State in 2016. They didn't make it to the conference championship game, but they had 3 wins against top 10 teams. What is Alabama's best win right now? Duke? Texas A&M? What is their best win right now? In a month from now, what will their best win be? 4-loss, potentially 4-loss Auburn? I realize that Auburn had a very tough schedule, but what from game 1 until game 12 with no conference title appearance, what is the evidence that tells you that Alabama is a top 4 team? So, what's going to happen? One of 2 scenarios. Number 1, Georgia beats LSU. Those are your 2 SEC teams. Georgia loses in the conference championship game. That's fine. LSU still in. Ohio State and Clemson. Okay? The only way The only way, and it's not going to happen, that Alabama gets in is if Oregon loses again, doesn't win the Pac-12 title. Utah wins, doesn't win the Pac-12 title. Oklahoma, their loss against Kansas State doesn't look so bad right now, does it?
No.
No, it doesn't. Oklahoma, there are 3, 4, 5 teams out there. Minnesota, I mean, they've had a pretty easy schedule to date. They beat a top 5 team in Penn State Saturday. They still have Iowa. They still have Wisconsin. They still have the likelihood of Ohio State in a Big Ten championship game. Very unlikely they get through that, but if they do, they're getting in. There are too many teams with too many quality wins on the table, including conference championship games. Alabama does not, and they will not have that. So you can put them 4th right now. You can put them 5th. You can slide them up in case in case something happens. But in a month from now, when we get to conference championship weekend, Oregon, Utah, if they run the table, Baylor is still undefeated. Oklahoma with 1 loss in a Big 12 championship. One of those teams will jump Alabama.
And valid points, and I never thought there would be a moment that I would be doing this ever in my life, especially after walking down the aisle and who I asked to marry me. But at the same time, I'm going to counter on Alabama's behalf in one question. I'm going to have Jeff answer and then go back as you have the Duck, like you have to hold the Oregon Duck basketball to answer this question. As an Oregon fan, though, to your point about the signature win, let's say that the Big 12 ends up they just knock each other out, because the last 4 weeks is insanity there, because Baylor ends up playing against Texas and Oklahoma and all of it. So let's say they all beat each other up and they don't play much defense anyway. You have a situation where let's put Clemson in, you put a Big 10 winner in, you've got LSU in, and then the final spot comes down to Oregon or it comes down to Alabama. Now, if Alabama goes out and just dominates Auburn in that final game, what is your counter to the fact that they haven't beaten anybody, but you put a 1-loss Oregon team that lost to Auburn into that? I'll let you start this to just see what you have to say on all Oregon, then I'll let Joe continue on it.
And as much as I really want Oregon, I would love for that to happen and give them a shot. I think the struggle for a team like Oregon or Utah is just, it goes back to the same thing with Alabama. Like, what's your big signature win there? And you look at, you had a close game against Auburn, which you should have won, but you didn't. Should have get you nowhere. We proved we came out in the first half. We came out there, we dominated. Like, that's the way that, if you follow teams like Oregon, that's what you expected. But then, kind of like the national championship game years ago, it just kind of started falling and getting away from you. And that SEC dominance, you hear about, that curse just comes and it took over. We lost the game on a ball that was kind of just thrown up in the end zone, whatever. And anyway, regardless, if Oregon wins out, I believe our strength of schedule, and I know that I'm going to get hated for this.
No, you don't.
That's
why we're the Patriots
it's
here
just
today.
As strong as Alabama's.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's now, even if it's a close game against Auburn or whatever, it's tough because you talk about we beat a Utah team in the Pac-12 championship. We have 1 loss. What makes us any different? And here's my thing. I see both sides of it. But it's one of those things that we've seen in the past with the playoff rankings, and they talk about the strength of schedule and all this other kind of, what have you done for me lately? Alabama had their chance. They had their chance to beat LSU. They didn't do it. So should we get punished because we won out, with the exception of the Auburn game? That's our loss. And I know that was Alabama's 1 loss or whatever, however that be. Okay, cool. But they had their shot. Mm-hmm. We haven't had our shot. And if you look at on paper and you look at the power rankings and everything that goes involved, I think it's really hard to say, well, sorry, Oregon, you just didn't play a tough schedule. When you look at Alabama's schedule, I'd like to see the final, I guess.
There's so many. It's going to be so. This is going to be the toughest year, and I'm hoping for the sake of the college football playoff that it does turn into the chaos we're talking.
Yeah, that's
because
what we want.
It's good, because then there's going to be even the argument when the Big Ten, when Ohio State a couple years ago they won the Big Ten, they had 2 losses. So that argument was tough, but it was like, come on, you got 2 losses. In this case, if you leave an Alabama team out, let's say you do though, and the team And after this, we do have to take a break. I knew the show was going to be like this.
Yeah.
We could end. There's like 8 billion things, and it'll be like 7:45, and like, Chad, the show ended 45 minutes. They're like, let us continue to speak. With all of this being said, it's something where if Alabama's one loss is by less than a touchdown to the team that ends up going number one and the team that, let's say, wins the national title with the Heisman Trophy winner. Imagine if every one of the teams we're discussing right now had that team on their schedule every year. They would almost all just pencil them in for one loss. So to the counter of, yes, their schedule hasn't been as tough because of they didn't have to play Georgia on the other side like next year. They didn't have to play Florida. You could look at and say, you know what, their one loss is a team that if anybody in the country had them on their resume this year, they would have a loss too. So those are the kind of things that we need to discuss, and I want to get back into that. Lamar Jackson, one heck of a running back, guys, right?
That's right.
Pretty good out there. He's the first person that I've seen actually use the product I did in high school to beat a guy in Madden football with the Michael Vick spin move. He actually did that in a game, and pretty cool. Cincinnati now leading the charge for the tanking. Florida State, we want Bama signs. We want Bama State signs right there. As Odell, look at getting it done right there. At least one Odell is, and we'll talk some more about what's going on. The Pac-12 actually reprimanding the refs, which we're finding out now. They will be doing the Saints playoff games at home. So there you go. So it's all good. When we come back, we'll get to more on all the big stories going on in college, NFL. Got a Colecast and crew, Joe Ford, as well, Jeff Price, myself, Chad Brillante, having some fun with you on a Monday Air Grievance show right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM, simulcast on Blab TV.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, U.S. Tax Shield can help you take back control. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Our team of tax attorneys can stop collections and get you protected. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the BBB, so call 800-494-6139. U.S. Tax Shield, 800-494-6139.
Calling all Florida State Seminole fans, Tomahawk Talk is here. Tune in each Wednesday afternoon from 1 till 2 right here on ESPN Pensacola 99.1 AM 1330 to get the latest on Florida State football. Hear from the experts, the superfans, and even some former players about what's happening on the field from the sidelines to the locker room. It's Tomahawk Talk this Wednesday starting at 1 o'clock on ESPN Pensacola 99.1 AM 1330.
Presented in part by Gross & Schuster, attorney at law.
Welcome to Moe's!
Okay, hi, what are we doing today?
I need something that screams something fun. Nothing too on the face, nothing too off the face, but also totally hot.
So I have the perfect thing. It's the Moe's Food Mullet. You're totally business in the front, but tailgate in the back. It's a fat party. People are having fun. You know, snap. All your friends are going to be like, whoa, awesome setup. Everyone else is going to be all jelly, okay?
Just like a killer mullet, Moe's Catering will turn the back of your ride into a tailgate party that's sure to turn some heads. Just order ahead and pick it up on your way.
Moe's Southwest Grill, now open in Pace on Highway 90 next to Publix grocery store.
Hey sports fans, we know that we all fumble now and then when we're headed for the end zone, and our vehicles are no exception. Next time your bad ride is a little off sides, take it to Amco Transmission, your total car care facility. And with no interest financing, even with less than perfect credit, you'll drive away feeling as if you caught the winning touchdown. You always make the right play when you take your vehicle to Amco Transmission on Davis Highway, just south of Airport Boulevard. Visit them on Facebook or call 800-GO-AMCO. AA-MCO.
Professional truck drivers, don't play roulette with your driving career when you can step up to stability with Schneider. As other trucking companies fold or fade, Schneider keeps expanding opportunities for drivers. Solidify your future now with unlimited driving options, from local to long haul, including new dedicated accounts and high-earning tanker and team driver options. Get more with dependable weekly paychecks and leading driver benefits. Search your zip code and find what you want at SchneiderJobs.com. That's SchneiderJobs.com.
The Paul Feinbaum Show.
Everything you wanted to happen hasn't happened.
Oh my gosh, that's all any of y'all want to talk about is Alabama.
You're really not understanding the conversation, but anyway, we can move on.
Bama's dynasty has just begun.
Hold on a second, Charles. Somebody wants to talk to you.
I don't want to talk that compelling moron. He's nothing but a lame-headed old man.
2 till 5 every weekday afternoon. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
You're out of your freaking mind, cowturd.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola, 1330.
just be every time. And first off, I play this song if you're listening throughout the day. Now that I'm hosting and producing a lot of shows, I do this because it's very close to the board, and it's on that, like, the YouTube part. You can tell a lot about a person in their life, by the way, if you go to YouTube, because it saves stuff. Like mine, it'll be, and it's like attached to your Gmail, YouTube, so it shows, but it will say like NFL primetime music, like Florida State, Alabama fight songs, and then it has like Paw Patrol and Sunny Bunnies that my daughter watches on like the days that I'm tired and like, here, watch these right here. So it's funny. It'll go from the transition right there. But anytime I hear the NFL primetime music when you're like gearing up like this, like just think about like the Boomer and TJ days back there. Like back. Hee. Jackson for the touchdown right there. Looking at the games, and we'll get to more the college football talk. Later on in the show, we're going to have some fun breaking down the best rivalries. Not just in light of LSU and Alabama, but the best rivalries across the board when it comes to sports today. For instance, the NBA, it could be the Clippers and Lakers. Now, that's been a historic where people are chanting MVP on the days that it's supposed to be. It's like the daycare, like who picks up our daughter kind of thing in a relationship. L.A. Clippers were supposed to have home court in that first game. Kawhi Leonard's first game, all this, but they're chanting MVP for LeBron. You know, they're like, look at our logo. But same court. That one would be a great one today, I would say, with the game. So we'll get to all those and more. Obviously, Joe, you will have the floor when it comes to soccer in this. I'm just saying. Have we figured out what path is secret, or are we going like MLS, Bundesliga going on?
There's MLS.
Okay.
I don't care about MLS.
Well, how about Russell Wilson's call yesterday, though?
Well,
he get 3-1. He called the exact score of Seattle.
Yeah, well, that's good for him. But the MLS to me is like the Canadian Football League, and I don't watch the Canadian Football League. So
there's 15 Rough Riders. Is that what you're saying? That's
basically.
Okay. From that standpoint, though, I hope Russell is on par when he calls himself getting beat by 2 touchdowns today, because I see that. Niners take care of business. It should be a fun Monday Night Football.
You're saying 14 points?
I'll go with 10. Now that as we speak, it's like Price is Right here.
Is the game in Seattle or is it in San Fran?
It's in San Fran.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm San Francisco treat coming at you. I'm going with I'm 27-17.
What's the spread on that game?
It's -6.5. San Fran. I'm going San Fran minus. I think they win. Let's go 28-17. You know the confidence of any broadcaster when he says, let's go. Like, let's throw this in the air and see where it lands on here. Blue, there you go. No, 28-17 I'm going with on that one. Okay. Well, cheers. I mean, yeah. You're just living the high life with the Jets and Titans winning? Is that what
Yeah, that's what's happening. No, I really like Seattle in this one.
Okay.
San Fran's they're going to be without George Kittle.
That's huge.
I know that they're getting their 2 Joe Staley and their other starting offensive tackle who they've been without all season long. But man, it's super dangerous going against Russell Wilson.
He's right now currently the MVP, I think, in the NFL.
Whether it's playing against the guy who has him in fantasy or playing against him in real life, it feels like what playing with a tank of gasoline in a lit match would be like. I don't like the idea of going against Russell Wilson. I think the 49ers are a better team, but I think Seattle may have enough to get it done this week. So I'm gonna pick the Seahawks in an upset.
Yeah, I agree. This is just such a Russell Wilson thing to do, just to come in against a undefeated team like the Niners, riding high. I think Kittle is a huge loss for him tonight because he's been a big part of the offense. They're going to have to go outside. You have to rely more on guys like Emmanuel Sanders and stuff. But then you look at the backs like Tevin Coleman and guys. They've got the athletes back there. But this just seems like the game that Russell Wilson's going to – he's going to throw to Josh Gordon in the end zone for the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah, maybe.
Look at this. I'm saying let's go with, and you're literally breaking down the final play. So I will give you more based on that.
No, that's
you
me
win
throwing that out there and
say,
hoping it lands.
Well, hey, on that one, good point right there. Let's look at some of the things going on right now as we will get to more on that. Coming up here, we will talk about some of the rivalries later on in the show, and we'll also get to more coming up here with Brent Barrett of Lindy Sports. We'll break down a lot of stuff to get to. Hey, look, Donald Trump got done yesterday. The president was out there at the game, got some cheers, and then right after it, he goes out and he ran right down the road to Fayetteville and said, "You're fired, Chad Morris." He got paid for that, and then they did a cameo. They should have done like The Apprentice with like the cameras in there, like, okay, Trump is coming through the hallways right here. Be like, I already know. My bags are already packed. Sorry, I don't know why this is some kind of like hidden camera show. Chris Hansen showing up like, Chad, sit down right here. Like you already know that he was gone. I mean, he should have known that when you get beat. And what sweet. We've had a couple of the sweet irony moments. Think about it. You have Shane Buechele out there for SMU being the top-ranked team for a while, walking back the streets of Texas, being like, guys, in the Dallas newspaper at one point being the number one team until they lost last week. And then you've got a guy that goes out there, he gets pretty much booted as the starter when he thought he was going to win the game in Arkansas, goes to Western Kentucky and beats Arkansas by 30 at the formal team that booed him. So how about that? Nice way to send off your coach, like sayonara sucker right there. But Chad Morris wins this. I mean, he wins anyway. He's getting paid $10 million for not winning one game in his conference in his 2 years. Did not win one. I mean, even Willie Taggart's like, hey, remember we celebrated against BC like last year? Like we celebrated on the field. We beat Boston College. Like at least that was there was no moment for Arkansas. Do you feel now? We met a couple Arkansas fans at the World of Beer yesterday, and good people. But do you feel Arkansas, because Florida State right now is in the battle, and we're hearing primetime Deion Sanders and some others, like, let's not buy into this. I already got the stoop going on, so we're done. I'm going to eat my popcorn and wait as everybody else. But do you guys feel that Arkansas, what pack do we even put them in? They're not an elite class, but are they the bottom tier right now of the SEC? Because think about it. Right now, currently, they are the bottom tier of the West. However, if the Ole Miss job opened up, or Mississippi State, that could open up, is Mississippi State a better job than Arkansas? I mean, where do you put it? They've got more resources to use, but how do we even know what job Arkansas is right now?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
they can pay you. They've proven that.
They've proven, I think, over time, with the right collection of coach and players, I mean, that they can be contenders. I mean, of course, we all remember the Darren McFadden, Felix Jones days, and Brett Bielema had them, fairly competitive.
Yeah.
So, I think that's, probably where they're at. Best case scenario, you get a good quarterback, a good collection of players. You can contend for, a division title. So, where it ranks, I mean, it's probably right smack dab in the middle of the conference. I think that's pretty fair to say.
And, I mean, Jeff, they do have if you want to look at from a standpoint of Bielema and now what we have with Chad Morris, they do have the ultimate ATM buyout machine in Jerry Jones if they prove to use him. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jerry, you get on the phone, it's like, it's that time of year again. Is it 2 years? Has he won a game? No, still no wins in conference play. My grandson getting some tosses out. Yeah, he's playing. He didn't help, but all right, here it is. All right, what check? How many zeros you need? Okay, like that, like pretty nice little, even better than Spanx, even better than the lady that has Spanx. So you can go ahead and go out there and I should probably let people know what that means because people are like, what is he? Where are we going now? Should be used in this show. Jeff, I don't know where to put that. Not the Spanx comment, but Arkansas.
Yeah, okay.
I'm glad. You're like, I'm not touching this one.
No, and Arkansas is not a bad job. Like, there's obviously worse. But here's the thing. They have facilities. Jerry Jones backs them right now. So if you look at, there's so many names out there, but it's going to be hard to really get those coaches to buy into it with the poorest part of their program right now. Just how they have shown, like, no hope. That's the biggest thing, It's not like they're the up-and-coming team. Yeah, they got some young guys. Oh, yeah, they're good. They're struggling to recruit out there. And, with Orgeron and what he's doing at LSU and everything now, and you got Jimbo Fisher, Texas A&M, like, it just makes it worse out there. But regardless, I got a lot of Cowboy fans that I work with that are not going to like this. But maybe, just maybe, Jerry Jones is like, you know what, Jason Garrett, I need you to go coach at Arkansas. This is only temporary. Just go up there for a little while. I'm going to bring in another guy. Don't worry about who it is. No, but I wish.
Yeah. He's not. First off, that sounds like indentured servitude. First off, of an individual, like you have to leave us and go. And then secondly, sounded like the Office Space. But like I haven't received a paycheck. Right. While you're down here, Milton, if you could spray for the rats and take it. But I haven't received. Where's my stapler? Like, yeah. Look, Jason Garrett can become a mall mannequin. You get him back to Macy's with the family with like a. Please. He does look like a mall mannequin. Think about that right now. If he's holding like an umbrella and a bag of like the wife's bag and a pair of board shorts right now, smiling, like that's Jason Garrett. But everything though with what we're saying here is Arkansas at this point. I had a friend that lives in Fayetteville, I think he was a fan and he's out now, but he said there was more baseball billboards in the last couple months than football billboards.
Oh, their baseball stadium is awesome.
It's awesome, but that's still sad in any sport. It doesn't matter if you're Florida State or anybody.
Especially in the SEC.
Yeah, LSU, the box is known, but they don't have more. Right now, they've got stuff like like going on. I'm sure they have some things like Ed Ogeron said yesterday in the press conference. We'll get to more on that. We do have Brent Baird of Lindy Sports coming on, so we'll get to that conversation coming up here. It's a fun-filled Monday, unless you're a Bama fan, right here on the Sports Drive, ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM, simulcast on Blab TV.
I'm Mina Kimes, host of the new podcast, ESPN Daily. Each morning, we'll bring you a deep dive into a single story from one of ESPN's hundreds of reporters. ESPN Daily is presented by Dell Small Business. Dell's Black Friday sneak peek deals fit your busy work schedule. Save now on computers with Intel Core processors plus free shipping. Call 877-BUY-DELL. Dell Small Business Technology Advisors can help you find the right tech. That's 877-BUY-DELL. Or visit Dell.com/business deals.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
When working at a growing business, you wear many hats. The new business hat, the buying toner for the copy machine hat, the sifting through tons of resumes hat. You can throw away that last hat thanks to Indeed.com. When posting your job, Indeed lets you add screener questions that give you a less time-consuming route to your short list of qualified candidates. So go ahead, dust off that extra long lunch hat. Hiring's better when you've got your short list. Save time on hiring when you post a job on Indeed. Get started today at Indeed.com/hire.
As buzzer beaters ring throughout the nation.
This one's good if it goes. Oh, dude! Oh, goodness! Hell!
You want an all-access pass inside the madness?
And that means one thing. Basketball, basketball, basketball.
For three!
Yes! It's Seth Greenberg. It's Daniel J. Dockich, and this is the world's greatest podcast.
Check out the Courtside with Greenberg and Dockich podcast. You can listen or subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
Does pain have you sidelined on the bench? Clearway Pain Solutions wants you back in the game. Our team of compassionate, board-certified pain specialists, chiropractors, and physical therapists will relieve your pain and restore your function. For comprehensive, patient-centered care, visit a Clearway doctor at one of our convenient locations near you. Call Clearway Pain Solutions today at 855-527-PAIN or visit our website at clearwaypain.com. That's 855-527-PAIN or clearwaypain.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, U.S. Tax Shield can help you take back control. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Our team of tax attorneys can stop collections and get you protected. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the BBB, so call 800-494-6139. U.S. Tax Shield, 800-494-6139.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
And welcome back right here to ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM, Blab TV. Chad Brillante with you here alongside Jeff Price, Joe Ford, and joining us now. He was at the game this week, and, on the list of Secret Service, it was, I'm going to say President Trump 1 and then Brent Baird 2. Joining us from College Sports Notebook, Lindy Sports throughout the years, and 1010 XL Radio, also with Gatorbait Magazine, First Coast News. Just his resume alone could finish this segment. Brent, we always appreciate your time, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I'm glad to be able to do so in the last 7 days, seen Florida, Georgia, Alabama, and LSU. So that's been a pretty good 7 days and four of the best schools in the nation. Security was tight, but frankly, the Secret Service were really pretty good to deal with. They were obviously equipped with about everything you can imagine, but I asked him at one point if I needed to take my watch off if I was going through the security, and they said, look, the only thing we're worried about is if you have a weapon or not. So it went smoother than I thought it would overall getting in, but the atmosphere there on a wonderful fall day was as amazing as you would think it would be.
Yeah, I was going to go, but they had a tank top on, and they said you got to leave your guns outside. And then clearly the water pistols, they'll have to stay at the door. So, you know that, Brent, obviously. I haven't worked out in 10 years, by the way. But looking at the situation with outside, we're going to get to the Alabama and LSU game, but I want to bring up, because if you're writing a headline, you have an SEC, like a Saturday Down South or an SEC blog, and you're going to write the headline, is it Chad Morris getting fired? Is it Tennessee comes back to beat Kentucky? Or is it the game where South Carolina against App State, that if you were randomly flicking through the dial around 7:45, 8, it was one of the craziest endings. I got to watch the final minute. Tasca, who works down here, she's an App State, they're like, it was crazy in the couple minutes. But what headline would you do, obviously, or Florida's dominant 56-0 win, if you were writing it outside of LSU and Alabama?
Well, and I don't mind to touch on all of them. I think the South Carolina loss was difficult, particularly because Walensky was throwing in the end zone at the end of the game and basically the last play and just basically missed a wide open receiver. Now, there was holding called if he had hit him, they would have had an in-time down, but that was a bad loss. I mean, a bad loss, frankly, Chad, for Muschamp. I'm not saying he's going to get fired at the end of the year, but since beating Georgia, they're like 1-3. Tennessee had a big win. I mean, that's really one of the headlines in the league is how they have kind of revamped themselves. And how they're doing much better. I'm not sure that the difficult thing about the Arkansas change was Ty Story, the former Arkansas quarterback now with Western Kentucky, was the one who beat them. And you brought Chad Morris in to be the quarterback guru, and they've had, I think, 7 quarterbacks in the less than 2 years since he has been there. So very, very unfortunate for them. And I think if you just said Florida taking care of business in a good way as they get ready for a big game at Missouri, some of your headlines, or at least the synopsis.
What a story it was, too. What a story. And I look at the game with LSU and Alabama, and obviously this is going to be talked about for a while, and we've had this discussion today, and we have a brethren of fake titles like myself. We have Ohio State that's won and claimed them, Oregon that has Nike money on their side, and Rob Mullins, the AD, is in charge of the committee, so if it comes down to it, we'll see if he, quote, steps out of the building or not. But at this point, when you look right now at Alabama, where do you see the percent chance? And it's so funny because one of the conversations that's not getting talked about probably until about Wednesday or Thursday when it settles down is going to be that Alabama has to become the biggest fan of Auburn this week. And that never is fun for your favorite rival down the road.
Well, and there's some truth to that. Now, if Georgia wins, it's not the end of the road for Alabama because Georgia would still play LSU likely in the SEC championship game. Georgia loses and they're out. But if Auburn loses even a close game, I don't think that's going to hurt that much. I think Bama falls to 4, no more than 5 tomorrow night. And again, they certainly have a chance to help themselves. But I've been on the mock committee. I was on it last year. And I think we're looking at all this right after the LSU game. When they've got to make their final decision, they're making it basically a month away is what it amounts to. So if Bama wins out, what they're going to be looking at is Alabama's resume, and by playing LSU and Auburn, that will help their strength of schedule to a degree. I know they won't win the Western Division. But what that committee's going to be looking at, they're going to put that up on Alabama up on the screen with some other teams, and the thing they would see is one loss to likely the number one team in the country by 5 points. So, and believe me, the angst and anxiety we're feeling right now, that committee is not going to have that. They're going to have that black and white in front of them, and at that point, that's what Alabama is going to have in favor.
Brett, I'll give you the opportunity to prove me wrong. I've been wrong a lot, and I'll be wrong a lot in the future.
He's a Jets fan.
I just looking kind of ahead and looking at in the past years of this thing, the teams that get the benefit of the doubt without the conference appearance, let alone conference title, conference game appearance, have on their resume the quality wins, the wins against the top 10 opponents. Alabama is not going to have that, regardless of what happens to Auburn, Georgia on the way out of here. So help me understand, because I don't think they're getting in, period, regardless of where they're ranked this year. Tell me why I'm wrong.
Well, what you're going to hear from people, and they're not going to admit this, I don't think, but what they're going to hear from the committee in that room is going to be particularly if it's Alabama and someone else from that spot, the thing you're going to hear is, well, of these teams in the top 10, how many of these teams could beat Alabama? That's what you're going to hear from the committee, and particularly, I think, the football coaches who are in there. Now, there's no certainty that they would get in, but again, what this committee is charged with, and they mention this over and over to us, is they are charged with getting the 4 best teams. And winning a conference championship or even being in the game is not something that is required. Now, if they eventually want to make that situation, it would be, I mean, the ultimate answer to all this is to go from 4 to 8. But that is what the committee is going to be looking at at this point. And I think you've got other losses that are going to be coming in some of these teams that they're going to be compared to that we don't even know about right now.
So I have a question. You said of course, you've seen Georgia and Florida and now Alabama and LSU pretty much in the past week, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Last 7 days.
Right. Well, and not that I guess it really matters, but just me wondering, because you've seen them live, and I know, of course, the TV is the TV and everything, but just seeing both Georgia and Alabama, when you look at those two teams and you've seen them both play at a pretty high level, who do you say has the edge between those two? We'll just say, what if Alabama played Georgia? How do you feel after seeing those teams that would turn out?
Georgia's got the better defense. Bama's got the better offense. The difference in that game would be probably is how healthy is Lawrence Cager. I can see that being a shootout. Also, and the difference in that game, too, I think the big difference is Alabama knows they can beat Georgia. Georgia thinks it can beat Alabama.
And I think it's a good point. And there's so many arguments. Brent, I think you've been somebody that has talked about this, and we have Gene Stallings and Pat Dye, and Joe Theismann was up here yesterday or last week, and he, has weighed in and said that he'll be, talking about the games coming up here. But Brent, one thing that I think we all agree is it's really like everything in life. It's your perception on what is funny, if you're a Will Ferrell fan or a Richard Pryor fan, or if what you think in football is the right system. Because if you just said, it's the 4 best teams, well, last year everybody and their mama felt that Georgia was a better team than Notre Dame, but based on that Notre Dame had no losses and Georgia had, it was hard to make that claim. See, this year, if you go to we all agree that Vegas knows a lot more than us. That's why they build the billions of dollars and have fountains that turn into gold. But if you look right now at like the spread on some of the teams up there. If you put Alabama next to Baylor or Minnesota or even the Oregons and the teams like Oklahoma, they would be more than a touchdown and probably a 2-touchdown favorite over 3 of the 4 teams I mentioned. And based on that, nobody out there is going to say that those teams are better. They're basing it on it like Joe. But Joe's perception, a lot of people feel that way, and that's a confident and strong answer too, is that we have not seen them this year. Don't look last year. We have not seen a game this year where you can prove your fact that they're that much better. We're assuming that by the eye test. And that happens a lot of times where both teams,
or even worse, based on a preseason ranking where people are telling us who they think is supposed to be good.
Yeah.
Well, to go back to what you said a few minutes ago about Georgia Notre Dame, I was at the SEC championship game last year, and I thought that both, obviously Alabama was going to get in because they won, but I thought Georgia should have been in too. Frankly, even with 2 losses, because my thought, the process of that was Georgia very well could have won that game. But again, this is why people really need, regardless of who's, if you're listening to the show, whoever you're a fan of, you really need to hope that this playoff is expanded in about 5 years. Now, again, we're dealing with the immediacy of what's going on at this point too. So, and I get a lot of this. But if you ask me right now to come up with the true 4, I really couldn't do it because we just don't have we don't have enough information, and B, we've still got way too many Oklahomas and Baylors and Ohio State and Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia, LSU, very possibly, Georgia, Auburn, that's left to go. So, but I mean, I understand the arguments. I get the arguments. All the way around. But the good thing is we've got 3 more weeks to help us.
Personally, this is my opinion, and I got a mic. I joked with everybody with all their memes all over Facebook and stuff this week. I said, man, I wish I had a radio show to just get to talk about all this. And you know what? So I've got the mic right now, and I'm going to say, Brent, to me, and I'm not trying to appease anyone. All I'm going to say is, to me, the 5 or 6 teams I would love to see get a shot. And as throwing a record aside, just what I've seen in football this year, and based on their body of work and everything, I would love to see, obviously, we would see Ohio State, LSU. I'd love to see Alabama. I'd love to see Clemson. And also probably the other team I'd like to see is Oregon. Maybe Oklahoma, but when they're winning at home in a game that they know that everything's on the line and they're beating Iowa State on what is a clear PI in the end zone, they should have maybe lost that game on a 2-point conversion. Oklahoma just doesn't have a good enough defense right now. Oregon.
I agree with that. Look, the thing you mentioned that I think no one's talking about is would be either Oregon or Utah.
Oregon's a good football team.
I would like to see a situation with either one of those teams because look, in particular with Utah, people really don't realize how good both those teams are.
Yeah. Well, Brent, I wish we could talk for days on this. I always appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us. I'm glad that it wasn't too crazy getting in there with Secret Service in the game yesterday. But God bless all of our veterans on this day, and thank you for everything that you do.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Enjoyed it all, as always.
Appreciate it. Brent Barrett of College Sports Notebook joining us. He was at the game this week. And like we said, on Veterans Day, thank you again to all of our veterans out there that have served and fought for our freedom so we can argue and put memes of Edo and Alabama on our Facebook. Coming back for more, it's the Sports Drive right here on ESPN Pensacola and Blab TV.
Imogen and I started Jewelers Trade Shop in 1956.
Our goal at Jewelers Trade Shop has always been to give our customers the best experience imaginable. It's something that my grandfather instilled in my father, and without a doubt, my father has passed on to me. Those basic core goals and values that shaped our business 56 years ago are still very much alive and a driving force behind Jewelers Trade Shop today.
For 3 generations, the story continues. Jewelers Trade Shop in downtown Pensacola.
Man, do I love card night. You ready, boys? You got a king,
Go fish, Dad.
Oh, come on. This is WWE superstar Titus O'Neil.
It only takes a moment to make a moment.
Take time to be a dad today. Learn more at 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Locally owned Jackson Pace Pharmacy has exciting news for ED patients. Tadalafil, the FDA-approved generic for Cialis, is now here, and the cost savings are huge. Save 80% on the 20-milligram tablets, 30 tablets for $80, less than $3 a pill. A prescription from your doctor is required, so stop by Jackson Pace Pharmacy, 2256 West 9 Mile Road in Pensacola, and cash in on the savings today.
Hey Dave, what's with the dry erase board?
We've got so much to do before we open for the day, so I'm diagramming our game plan.
You just wrote help me and X's and arrows.
I know. We need help.
Here's a plan. Call Cintas. They'll check our fire extinguishers, stock our first aid cabinets, they'll take care of our floor mats and restroom supplies, and of course, deliver great-looking uniforms.
Call Cintas. Great plan.
Oh, I'm ready! Get Cintas and get ready for the workday.
Building a winning team is all about finding the right people for the job. That's why college scouts all over the country spend so much time recruiting players they need on the field. They look for the right people with the right skill sets to have success. And when it comes to hiring for your business, there's no better place and no better tool than LinkedIn. Over 600 million members visit LinkedIn to make connections, learn and grow as professionals, and discover new job opportunities. That's how they make sure your job post gets in front of people with the right hard skills and soft skills to meet your role requirements. Things like collaboration, work ethic, and adaptability. LinkedIn does the legwork to match you to the most qualified candidates so you can focus on hiring the person who will transform your business. And companies who use LinkedIn to hire rank LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality candidates. To get $50 off your first job post, go to linkedin.com/sports. That's linkedin.com/sports to get $50 off your first job post. linkedin.com/sports. Terms and conditions apply.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Lord have mercy, the day has come where I'm defending Alabama. I never thought this would happen. I walk down the aisle. I say I do on the day LSU wins, and but this is good conversation. Look, and I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life defending the Knights, but we do lose to Tulsa. I've lost my quota. I don't even get to talk. I've just actually gone over. I owe them money, but this is.
So I have two questions after following up on the interview. We just had Brett Baird on, and he was kind of sharing what.
Remember, he's an SEC guy too.
No, that's fine. Okay. I'm not I'm not mad. I'm not angry, right? But no. Keep your composure, everybody. No. So one thing that he said, because he's on this mock committee or whatever, and he's pretty much of the opinion that one of the of all these teams, the Oregons, the Minnesota, whoever.
It's his book club in Jacksonville. They get together. It's a mock committee.
Exactly.
But, no. He actually goes.
They're saying
just kidding, Brent.
One of the main conversations is going to be, well, would they beat Alabama? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I have two questions stemming from that. Number one would be, why is Alabama getting that benefit? Why are they the team, right? Like, why is that question being asked? Because let's look at how Alabama has fared the last two times they've played a top 10 team. Clemson, they were not close with Clemson. It was not a contest.
I'm going to answer that right now. Roll blanking Tide. No, I'm just joking. No, you might get that.
Number two, against LSU, they were for 55 minutes of the game, they were down 2 scores to LSU, right? So why is Alabama getting that benefit of the doubt? Now, we could look at recruiting rankings, we could look at preseason polls, all that, but that's one question.
Okay.
Number two, if that is the case, why would anybody, Ohio State, Clemson, Oregon, anybody, why would you ever schedule a top 10 opponent out of conference? Why? because the committee's telling you
Just
it
go to the
does
Pac-12.
not
You don't
matter.
have to worry about that.
It does not matter. The quality of the wins does not matter. It's, well, do we think, based on preseason polls, that Team A would beat Team B? It is impossible for Team B to beat Team A because they were not ranked in the top 25 at one point, and this team was ranked number 1.
We got to end it with this.
I hate college football.
Chad, you can't say anything. UCF plays
Guys,
nobody.
2
ever.
seconds. Lamar Jackson's great running back.
UCF's terrible.
Football is here. Catch all of the UWF Argos games and the big NFL games every Saturday and Sunday on Pensacola's home for hometown sports. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. If you would like to be a part of ESPN Pensacola as a sponsor or promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000 or visit our website at ESPNpensacola.com.
ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
That's right. LSU Fight Song just took over our comeback song right there. Trent Richardson's not going to be happy on this cameo coming up.
Has just become the NFL's all-time leading rusher. Across the middle, it is caught for the first. It's Baldwin shaking free and sprinting down the sideline for the touchdown. His third of the day. Doug Baldwin. Derek Brooks, who ran back 3 interceptions for touchdowns in the regular season, does it to cement the Super Bowl. Boxing's elite, the new WBA heavyweight champion of the world, Roy Jones Jr. Baldwin beaten. The result has come up on screens that Gatlin's taken it. Goodness me, it was a blue American vest, 992 the Gatlin. 992 by the American champion to take gold. Another Watson is wearing a green jacket at Augusta. And this time, his name is Bubba. Scores on a 34-yard touchdown run by the Doak Walker Award winner, Trent Richardson, who broke a lot of Emmett Smith's records back in Pensacola, Florida.
Time to break out the glow sticks right there for Notre Dame basketball. Ladies basketball going on right there. They got the welcome back to the Sports Drive. Second hour begins now. Tennessee. There you go. Tennessee and Notre Dame and women's basketball right there.
Just to mention that my Lady Ducks beat the number 1. Well, they beat the women's national team, by the way.
Oh, I did see
that.
I
did see that. I did see that.
And we're also number 1 in the nation. Shame on our national team.
Yeah. Doesn't that stink when your team ends up playing like the U.S. national team and things? Or it's like those baseball games where at the beginning of the preseason, remember when like the local college plays the team in town?
Yeah.
And like, and you're from Tampa and it's like you've got a team like down the road, like Florida Southern from Lakeland, or Tampa plays against like the Yankees, and you're like, I went to this school, but I'm a diehard Yankee fan. Like,
yeah.
What,
or it's like college, like they have pistol teams or rifle teams. Like anytime somebody beats Army, like wait a second, what?
No, that's the worst because Navy is actually in UCF's. But they're in the same American conference. So but when we play Navy, it's hard to root against them. I'm just like, oh gosh, I'm just like, all right, let's just barely beat them and then just forget. But we can't these days anyway, so it doesn't matter.
But you're gonna barely beat them.
Some of the quick headlines we've talked a ton, and we'll get back into the LSU, obviously Alabama game. I want to get to also Edo's comments and get your opinions because we've all been in locker rooms before. We've been there, I just want to go ahead and get that, because obviously it's going to be one mixed feelings. Personally, though, I think we might all disagree on this, and we'll have some fun. We'll see. But I do want to get to some more on this. Dalvin Cook, let's do a little cash it or smash it as we get to some of the fun topics here. Dalvin Cook, cash it or smash it, is the best running back right now in the NFL. And and by saying this, the best player to play running back. This isn't just running the football, because there's obviously a guy out there that got body slammed by his teammate at the goal line last year that probably gets some votes as well.
I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah. I mean, he just looks good, and I think it's one of those things that you're happy that he's finally healthy, because you knew he was so good, and he had battled through injuries, but it's good. He looks like he's just having so much fun now, like that. All the injuries are behind him, so I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah, absolutely.
I still think it's McCaffrey, but I mean, I think Cook's right there. I mean, there's so many great running backs, and it's so we're kind of we're all prisoners of the moment. But it was Saquon Barkley by a mile. And, he got hurt, and he has a terrible. What did he have, like 1 rushing yard yesterday?
Yeah.
Le'Veon Bell goes from behind one of the best offensive lines to one of the worst.
And he's been a little hazy.
And he's not that great. But yeah, I mean, it's really good to see Dalvin Cook, because, like you said, there was so much potential there. Just unfortunate injuries, but he's putting together a full season now. So.
First off, with all that being said, Elliott's not the best. He is a 2-time champion. We don't want to dismiss it, because sometimes our feelings get in the way. But why would you go to him on that final play? Amari Cooper has done nothing but tap dance the sidelines for every. By the way, Amari Cooper has solved the riddle of how you can't be guarded. Apparently, it'd be like work on throws that are 3 yards out of bounds, and I'm going to keep my feet in like a ballerina on the side. Like, he did that 4 times. Even the refs were like, they looked over, not to say that the NFL refs are confident in all their calls, but like looking at they looked over and they were like 3 times
sure.
They just put their hands up like, all right, cool, that looked like it was good. But he had 4 of them yesterday. I was watching 4 games, like perfect, and only he could do that. Amari Cooper has been a big bright spot. By the way, too, the most, I guess you could say, non-talked about player in all of sports when you talk about how he catches a ball and is able to make plays. Blake Jarwin. By the way, every time he gets going, he's like the horse out of the chute right there. It's like he catches a ball. We've seen this like 3 weeks in a row now. He was the guy that last week, Janoris Jenkins for the Giants thought he was playing 2-hand touch and just was like, gotcha, and he ran into the end zone by him. But there's been every time he catches the ball, he gallops for like, no pun intended to his teammate, but he goes for another 20, 30 yards every time after a catch. They've got a lot of weapons. The Cowboy team is not out of it at all. But to get to the Dalvin Cook, I would say cash it right now, just because he's gaining more and more confidence. He's healthy, and we're seing what he's doing. And he's also adding a bright spot to a tough time right now as a Florida State fan. So,
but yeah, Christian McCaffrey, though, is just what he's doing is phenomenal. I mean, I didn't think when he came out of college he was going to be any like the impact player. I thought he'd be like, third down back, cool. He is. Every week, if you have him on your fantasy team, you're just so excited.
To your point, I agree. Fantasy football, he wins the award, and there's no question right now. He wins the ultimate award, maybe of all time. He's up there with when Peyton Manning was with Marvin Harrison, and you had both those guys on the same team, and Reggie Wayne, and you're like, forget about it. But the one thing I'll say is, if you look at Christian McCaffrey, they've utilized the perfect offense to get the ball into his hands. Where think about this, if you lined up an eye for him and you handed the ball off to McCaffrey and just had him go at it. And I know that's not his game compared to Cook, but if you did just, hey, we're going to hand the ball off to you like in those own cone drills back in the day, and it was one-on-one, Dalvin Cook can just create and go 50 yards by you. When McCaffrey gets up in open space, his vision, he can see things. But I feel like the offense for McCaffrey is set up and designed in a way where if you get the right coach with him, you can create. Where Dalvin Cook, you can put him in any game, and he's just going to run over people. That's just, both of them are elite. You can't go wrong with that answer right now. But I would say right now I'm going to go with Dalvin Cook. Cash it or smash it on this one. That you look at Green Bay in the game that you finally got some cold weather football. But Green Bay is a legit contender to win the Super Bowl after what we've seen the last couple of weeks.
I think Super Bowl's a little much. I just think there's. We know their defense is better, but you look at even yesterday, and that's not a bad Carolina team by any stretch of the imagination, but I think we just expected more. You look at the game before that against the Chargers, and you see how porous the Chargers are right now. It's just one of those, they're inconsistent, and I think the team that's going to win the Super Bowl is going to be fairly consistent in my mind, and I have a couple of teams, but it's hard to ever count out Aaron Rodgers. That's the other part, and he's doing it with guys that, those are not his top-tier receivers, because he just now got Devontae Adams back. But it's kind of like, and I say this, Chad, don't even look at me when I say this, it's like Tom Brady type thing. Like his receivers, they're not the top-notch guys. Devontae Adams is a good receiver, a solid receiver. But I think the biggest thing when you look at it that would make me or sway me to the other side of that is that the Packers actually have a running game. Aaron Jones is a really good running back. That offensive line's not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and I would add to that, I would say cash it for this reason. Number one, I mean, we're talking about one game. So, I mean, yeah, there's very few quarterbacks on that short list that you would rather have than Aaron Rodgers. But, I mean, in the NFC, nobody has really taken
that's true.
stranglehold of, say, this is the team to beat in the NFC. I mean, there are, I think, a group. And, we kind of had this pegged before the season started that there would be, a big group of teams that we thought could have the caliber to reach the Super Bowl. I don't know what the Saints were doing yesterday, but last week I thought, they're the front runners. They look really, really good, and then wow, whatever that was. But the Saints, the Packers, maybe the Vikings. I think there's 4 or 5 teams that I think are kind of in that same group now. And when you kind of look at, okay, well, one of them has Aaron Rodgers, none of them else do. Yeah, I could see them getting to the Super Bowl.
Cash it or smash it as we continue. Once again, Clay Helton put his hands up in the air. I win. He keeps beating these coaches out. Chad Morris is now gone, and the last of the Mohicans, I guess you can call him, Clay Helton out in UNC. Looking at cash it or smash it, Arkansas will get a Power 5 conference coach to be their next head coach.
Head coach, or are we saying assistant?
Let's go head coach on this, because getting like a QB coach from one of those schools, I would hope, is okay.
Cash it.
And
the reason I say there's a lot
of
of
cash, the Jerry Jones ATM machine with his.
Well, it's a job in the SEC.
You can get guys like a Matt Campbell or somebody over there, and even a long shot. And I do this with the Florida State thing as a joke. I hope people understood that. I don't want Florida State fans coming after me, but like a Lane Kiffin, long shot, but a guy that has he's just crazy. He would try to make Arkansas something that right now it's not, but maybe he could make people believe that. He's done that in the past.
Yeah. And also, too, think about this. At any time, like if you had you were in high school and you're at that stage where, you swooped in for the perfect time and helped the girl that was crying and she just broke up with the quarterback and you were like, hey, you know what? And she's like, you're just such a sweet guy. Like that moment for you to have a chance to ask her.
Chad? Is that your story?
As the quarterback, or they? No.
Okay. Anyway.
No. Please, I was, believe me, I was on crutches, using my butt like the dog on Heat, trying to get up the stairs. If you want to really know, but here's the thing. That's a horrible story. I think though, if you're Arkansas in that moment, you're coming in for the kill. You're pretty much, there's never going to be a better opportunity to become their head coach. Meaning that they have hit ground zero. Even with Bielema, pretty much got fired for being like a 7-5 coach. They were still better than a few teams out there. They were making bowl games. They were competing. They were Missouri and Arkansas in that game that we watch on Thanksgiving because it's on and people are kicked out on the couch for tryptophan. That game meant something. Now it's like they're getting beat by a team they paid in San Jose, and they're losing to the quarterback that they shunned off in Story and by 30 points at home. North Texas embarrasses them on a kick last year that goes viral, and they win that game. For Arkansas right now, they're a team that if you take over, you know that you're only working from the bottom up. Like, you cannot get any worse at that point. So, like, hey, you're playing with house money. Like, even if you win one game in the SEC next year, standing ovation next time you come through. It's like what Jeremy Pruitt took over. That's why Jeremy Pruitt and Willie Taggart had different values. They both had the same record, and they were both going in different directions. And you can see now, finally, there is the writing on the wall. Jeremy Pruitt is actually taking steps to get this team better, and they're playing better, where Florida State was never going in that direction. So, same with Scott Frost in Nebraska. Even though they're having a bad year, they're going to give him some time because he's building a team. For Arkansas, you'll never have a better shot at coming in right now.
Well, I don't know if he has any aspirations, and I fear that what I'm about to say is going to set off a whole lot of people down the road at UWF.
Bill Belichick Jr.
But this seems like a type of opportunity and job that if I was going to throw out a name, I mean, how about Coach Shinnick?
Yeah.
Now here's why I say that.
That's definitely a local answer, but I agree. They'd be lucky to have him.
If you're from UWF or if you're the AD, I have no insight. Coach Shinnick has not texted me and said, "Hey, I'm going to give a run at this Arkansas job." But Coach Shinnick is known as, like, his kind of calling card, so to speak, is that he is a program builder. I mean, he is kind of he went from he built a program before he's built up UWF, and I really think that's the type of coach that Arkansas needs, because they went from Brett Bielema to Chad Morris, two completely different systems with two completely different type of athlete that they were going after, and with two different types of systems. So Arkansas really has to be like, okay, what do we want to be? What do we want our identity to be?
Yeah.
What's the best way for us to compete? So I think you're looking long term. I mean, you're not looking like, hey, we need to be turned around. We need to be, competing for division titles within 3 years. To say we need, kind of similar to what the 49ers did with John Lynch and with Kyle Shanahan, is like we need to have a long-lasting marriage here where, say, we know we're going to go through rough times. We may go 0-4 next year, but we're going to stick with you because we believe that you're the guy that long-term can build up this program, not just over 2, 3, 4, 5 years, but 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Because Arkansas, that's kind of at the crossroad where their program's at right now.
Jeff, if I had asked you the question today, if they couldn't file a lawsuit and you had a chance where you could give them like a couple weeks to get into shape anyway, protein shakes, work with Barry Bonds, whatever, would you think that Arkansas fans would like to bring back? They're all three out of the NFL now. One guy got robbed about $100 million in Bitcoin. Derek McFadden, Felix Jones, and Peyton Hillis. If you could bring them back and just run Wildcat formations with them, would Arkansas fans take that? Right now at their age.
Yeah, at any point they'll take anybody that can run the football and get some yards.
Why not? Why not? Like if they have eligibility, just bring them back. Like guys, they're all wear their old jerseys.
You say that like those guys probably aren't in the best of shape right now anyway.
Well, I wouldn't. I mean,
they would take Mitch Mustaine right now.
I
forgot about that.
That's a good name right there.
Yeah.
Hunter Henry. Let's start naming. We're making them feel worse right now. We're naming like really good athletes that they're like just lost to a quarterback by 40 that we already.
Maybe they'll bring back Story.
Mitch Mustaine. That's the best name. That's awesome right there. Is that better than Tough Borland though for Ohio State? Ooh. Yeah. Ooh. Oh, there's a guy named Presidente who plays quarterback right now. Some good names out there. Mac Hippenhammer. There's I think the whole entire defensive line for Auburn is named ridiculous names. They got King up there. They got
like all the single-digit numbers, which is just so cool.
Their whole team, but there is actually
who's going to take those single digits away from those guys?
Exactly.
They are huge.
Yeah. Lucius Poussey for Missouri is a good one as well. That is, I got some looks there. That is a name. I'm just saying. Let's move on from here. But he's a good player. Looking at, he's a real player
just
too.
Just hit the dump button, just in case.
No. You can't get an FCC violation. I would be the one that looks these things up. You cannot get an FCC violation for saying
search history.
that is his name right there.
Computer, sir.
I have already ruined the search history when I gave Ryan Anderson, which stuck, the nickname Silent Stroker for the Orlando Magic. And a kid Googled that and said his computer got hacked at school and got a virus. But hey, look, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. When we come back, we're going to talk a little more on that note. Let's allude to our next segment, which is going to be hearing from Ed O and what he had to say in the locker room. If you haven't heard by now, then you don't own a phone or social media. We're coming back for more right here. It's a Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola and Blab TV.
Here, Pensacola. High school games, UWF football, catching every game of the Pensacola Blue Wahoos. Plus, local sports commentary with the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante and weekend sports talk with Davis Allen and Justin Patrick on the Sports Call. We are local. We are ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
There's a lot going on right now, and broadcasters are on the ground covering all of it, bringing you the weather, the traffic, and breaking news, all while entertaining you 24 hours a day. Someone needs to tell you what's going on around the world and in our hometowns, and that someone is us. We are free radio. We are always there. We are broadcasters. Visit wearebroadcasters.com or text radio to 52886 to learn more. Furnished by NAB and this station.
I'm really hungry, but I don't want to spend a fortune.
Well, you're in luck. Now you can get Denny's Super Slam with 2 eggs, 2 bacon strips, 2 sausage links, hash browns, and 2 pancakes, all for just $5.99.
That is a great deal. So I get all of that for just $5.99?
You sure do.
Wow, this meal just keeps getting better and better.
Some might say super.
I see what you did there.
The $5.99 Super Slam is back. See you at Denny's.
Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. No substitutions.
ESPN Radio is taking over ESPN News. You can now watch your favorite radio shows all in one place. From Golick and Wingo.
Oh, yeah.
To the Dan Levitard Show with Stugotz.
All right, I'm available every day, thanks.
To the Stephen A. Smith Show.
I just don't understand this guy.
To the Will Kane Show.
It's my job to tell the truth.
From morning to night, the best of ESPN Radio is now available on ESPN News.
Hi, I'm Matt Kenseth. You don't have to be a race car driver to know that life can be full of drama. Some of it you can't control, like mechanical issues, high winds, and rain delays. But there's some drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org.
You just need to take that first step and find free classes near you, and leave the drama for the racetrack.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ed Council.
The Paul Feinbaum Show.
Everything you wanted to happen hasn't happened.
Oh my gosh, that's all any of y'all want to talk about is Alabama.
You're really not understanding the conversation, but anyway, we can move on.
Alabama's dynasty has just begun.
Hold on a second, Charles. Somebody wants to talk to you.
I don't want to talk to that compelling moron. He's nothing but a lame-headed old man.
2 till 5 every weekday afternoon. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
You're out of your freaking mind, cowturd.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station, your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Any other time, welcome back here to the Sports Drive, ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. This song would affect nobody. They'd be like, marching band, we're jamming in here. Just so happens to be University of Washington. And it wasn't picked for any random reason. You would think that we're in back here, like, really going to town on, like, all this with all these keyboard cat buttons. No, I knew that there was going to be a 15-second pop-up that was going to go over the next song, so I decided to click this one because it was going. And it just so happened to be the one rival of your school. But
we got the playlist. I mean, Oregon State's next.
There you go. Yeah, there we go.
Here's those guys. You know what? I like that one a lot better than Oregon State.
By the way, I've never been there, and I want to know from standpoint, how cool is Eugene in the campus? Like, how much is Nike? Like, are there swooshes on, like, trees?
Oh, it's everywhere.
Like, the woodpeckers are like Disney, and they're like carving the swoosh inside the trees and stuff like that?
Not to that extent. No, but it's so cool.
It's a rich, rich world.
The stadium itself, of course, is sunken in the ground a little bit, so of course it's a lot louder because you can only hold like 60-something thousand there.
It's a zoo, yeah.
But it's fun. Of course, having family, from there, going over there when I was younger, things like that. Eugene is just a beautiful city. First off, anywhere
it is.
Now, politics aside, I wouldn't live over there. Just politics aside. But if you ever get a chance to go over there, no matter if it's Stanford or wherever, USC, it's still any of those iconic stadiums. The West Coast the northern West Coast is really beautiful. I've never been to the southern West Coast, but yeah, Eugene is a fun town.
They truly embrace the colors.
They
do. Green. They love green. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they really enjoy. They soak in green. They take it in.
Lee Corso,
they smoke it up. They just
Lee
love
Corso
it.
Loves our mascot.
Yeah.
I mean, who among us didn't, for at least one season on NCAA football 2003, play as the Joey Harrington-led Oregon Ducks?
Absolutely.
I mean, who among us didn't do that?
That's back when we had 75 uniforms before people started getting mad because they're like, wait a minute, why are these guys getting all of it? And Nike's like, you know what, fine, here you go. Have your uniforms. And now that's one thing everybody says, oh, you're an Oregon Duck fan? Uniforms is what it is, right? And I'm like, no, I actually despise the uniforms. Like, I hate the 75 different colors of green. I only thought there was 2 different colors.
But on a shiny day, if they take their helmet and they turn it in the right way, it can blind the DN, like on the right play right there. Them and Notre Dame on that as well.
Road trip, September 12th, 2020, Ohio State at Oregon.
Uh-oh.
Ooh. Let's do it.
I feel like I was sort of, and somehow I was told about this, but I felt like in the room I was left out of the conversation.
No,
these are your schools.
Let's go.
Oh, okay, I'm invited. Okay, awesome.
Take the show on the road. We'll do like a traveling road show type thing.
If I see this during the show, like Okay, we got that down.
We could show Chad a Power 5 team.
Oh, there you go.
I'm just gonna wear a shirt saying the Big O on it, and then whoever wins just break out like
just have it split down the middle.
It's like a neutral shirt, like the cookie.
We'll
go
like
to the cookie on Seinfeld.
Half and half jersey that the moms wear. Yeah.
The white
house
black
divided.
Cookie, house divided. Yeah, Big O right there. I'm just rooting for the O, baby. But if you think about it, I think Oregon is one of those teams that a lot of people don't stay up to watch the games, but I have insomnia, and I watch every one of their games until the final minute. Watch Clay Helton punt. This isn't a joke, by the way. I would have walked and packed his bags that day. They're down by 28 points, and they're at Oregon's 37, and it's 4th down and 3. So soak that in, folks. 37-yard line, which is a little out of field goal range. At any time in the game, though, whether you're up 28 or you're down 7 or whatever, you would at least try to go for it. You're down 28 in the fourth quarter. And I know he's just conceding. Well, then get off the field. But at that point, he punts, and it gets a touchback, and they change 17 yards. But, Joe, you sometimes, and you bring back the show sometimes, and I'm glad you're back here today, to like a common sense point, like more of a calm, like demeanor, meaning, do you have a problem with that, or should a guy pack his bags when he's at their opponent's 37, down by 28 at home, with 9 minutes to go in the game, and he's just punting it away? You're pretty much saying we're done, because even the worst case scenario is even if you get sacked, Oregon takes the ball and they're going to run out the clock. At least try to give your fans something to pick up 3 yards.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I mean, so at that point, Clay Helton, I don't think that was the moment Clay Helton should have been fired. That should have been when he shook hands at the press conference when he got hired. But yeah, Oregon, good job, Mario Cristobal. He's got a plus job. I always love when people start posting like, "Oh, should we get today?" I was looking at a couple of the fan bases, and people were like, "How about Cristobal to Florida State?" Or "How about PJ Fleck?" I'm like, they do have to want to go. Like you don't get to just pick. That's called a dictatorship, and that's the NFL. But like, you can't pick and choose those guys overall. I want to get to some of the other stories real quickly here. The ones that you probably didn't know. I guess you can say off-roading here, off the beaten path. Dion Waiters experienced a panic attack on the way home, but he did it after taking THC-infused edibles. Now, I've already sent him a card, edible arrangements, and other things, but apparently he didn't like that. This is ridiculous. This is the reverse. Is this the 2019 version of Wade Boggs?
Oh, jeez.
Is this the new edition? I mean, for the folks that don't know, if you don't know who Wade Boggs is, he drank apparently towards the story, and he got stopped by TMZ. Stumbling at 3 a.m. But no, he got stopped and he drank 58 beers on the way home across. That was his story. Okay, I believe it, Wade Boggs.
Yeah,
his cheeks absolutely. Are really red these days. But if you look and at this, is this the new? What that's adding? Is that worse than Plaxico Burress shooting him? No, that's not that. That's not that bad. But is he coming back? Is he going to be able to blaze his way back?
Well, this is one of the stories that when I read it, I had to read it again, and then I read it one more time because I still don't believe it. I still don't believe that this actually happened.
I feel like we are divided on a lot of things, obviously, in this country. But one thing is, we are very divided in people that the remorse and sympathy we give people that do stupid things and get hurt. Some people are always just sympathetic to the fact, like, "Oh man, he had a panic attack, man. I'm so bad." Then everybody like, "Dude was taking a bunch of edibles and he had it. He was freaking out. He was seeing a purple dragon. He did that. If we did that right now, we go to the back alley and hang out with a guy named Rico right now, and we do that. If you're named Rico, I apologize. But if you do that right now, nobody's going to feel bad. We have that choice right now. If we wake up like Josh Hamilton, naked in the back of a pub behind a garbage can and on heroin, nobody's going to be like, "Bravo, guys, bravo." Like, you made that choice when you left work. So I don't feel bad for him, and he's okay, so it's even better in that case.
I think it's the Blue Collar Comedy Tour, the Bill Engvall, "Here's your sign." Like,
yeah.
Duh. What do you think is going to happen?
Fifth Amendment. Cheers. You don't need to get into this one. It's. We'll leave that one away as we'll move on here. Looking at the situation, if you're the Cincinnati Bengals now, cash it or smash it, have they just now taken over the reins to the Joe Burrow sweepstakes? Is that where we're going? Is it now the Joe Burrow sweepstakes is officially now?
I feel that way. I mean, I think that's a pretty perfect marriage between the guy that from the area, Southern Ohio.
Yep.
But man, it's amazing. I mean, the Dolphins are so bad at tanking this. I mean, the fact that they trade away everybody with a pulse on their team, and now they're 2 for their last 2. Is that's interesting. But yeah, the Bengals are just putrid.
Jeff, have you ever seen a fan base that's probably had more upset faces in the stands having a 2-game win streak? Think about it. They're like, what's happening right now? We were on this pace to get this guy, and now we're going to be stuck with Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's got grandchildren. I think it's hey, Indianapolis, Brian Hoyer, all we realized in that game, and people are trying to make some kind of like finding a silver lining in this. Brian Hoyer has been balding for 15 years in the NFL. He needs to. That's the story there. I mean, Jacoby Brissett's not Andrew Luck, but then it's like you got this. It's like the mountain peaks, and then you've got like a plane out there, and the plane is Brian Hoyer, and he's now getting eaten by the crocodile and the lion at the same time in the safari. He has no point of being on a football field right now. That's what we saw from him.
Well, you look at, and they play the Raiders, the Steelers, the Jets, Browns, Patriots, Dolphins, and Browns. And we were looking at that Dolphins game like it was going to be, there you go. That's going to be it. Heck, the Dolphins at this point may have 4 or 5 wins. I mean, I don't even know what's going on. They're going to go. There's no way they're going to win a ball game.
Cash it or smash it on this one. The Pittsburgh win against L.A. They're finding a way to win with the Rudolph-Samuels combo. The win by Pittsburgh over L.A. is more significant, I know where we're going with this one, than Tennessee and Kansas City. Jeff, would you like to lead to this? Not from you losing your voice, because,
I'll give it a shot.
Right.
I think that, after week 1, we were like, the Steelers are done. They don't have Ben Roethlisberger. They traded for Minkah Fitzpatrick, which were like, at the time, we're like, wow, that was really dumb. Because
was that a fumble though? By the way,
I didn't see it, so I don't know. But they have the Steelers now. You were looking at schedules. Look at the Steelers' schedule to see who they have left, because they are. I think the Ravens. It's their division. They've got it. But you talk about wild card pushes. I think the Steelers are looking at a wild card here, because credit to Mike Tomlin. We kind of thought that. He's going to be interested in the Washington job and everything like that. But I think 8 of 11 starters on that defense were first-round draft picks, and they added Minkah Fitzpatrick, who is just balling out. T.J. Watt, I think, on the outside. There's just so much talent on that defense. They're getting James Conner back now, from what I've heard this week. So. Yeah, that was pretty significant. To me, the Titans are just so Jekyll and Hyde.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot trust them from week to week.
And going back to that with the teams and some of the guys trying to prove it, let's get to this one right here. This one's going to be about as tough as it gets. 3 choices here, more choices, as we go with the situation from – I'm going to give you what was the most impressive. The Atlanta Falcons, who at this point their speech was like, "Coach, I got this one. Dan Quinn, you're already out, but we're gonna play hard for you tonight. Let's get up for like Quinn. He's only got a couple games. He's like, I'm still in the room, but in this moment, they go out there for a team that played 8 games this season, and not one of those games did the defense allow less than 3 touchdowns. Soak this in, everybody. They've played in their 8 games. They didn't have one game where they held an opponent to less than 3 touchdowns, and they go to New Orleans. In the Dome, where Drew Brees has set pretty much every offensive record, and they hold them to no touchdowns against their rival.
Well, and they equaled the sack total for the whole season in that game, right?
And I had a lot of people down there because the Saints are the most bet team when it comes to Vegas. Biloxi, they're the team around here that the line moves the most because of the fan base, and people bet the Saints a lot, and they're good. When a team's good, you get that. If you haven't noticed, teams in the past, like the Steelers, the Patriots, the Cowboys, same thing in the NFL or college football with Alabama or USC or Notre Dame. They'll set the bar at a spot where they know there's a lot of fans out there that will hook on it, hook, line, and sinker, even if they're not there. Now, those teams have been good, but that's how it works. For New Orleans around here, regardless of the spread, they sit at 13.5 for that reason. People are like, oh, we get 2 touchdowns and we beat it. A lot of people out there at the World of Beer event, they're like, hey, man, we got the Saints. And I'm like, well, it's over. You're not winning this one. You might come back and maybe win the game but you're not making 13.5 points. With that being said, though, Atlanta is one of those teams, though, that actually still has a decent roster, unlike these other clown boots out there. Like, if you look at some of those teams like Cincinnati, they're just a joke. No offense to the fans out there, but you already know that. But you're starting Ryan Finley. who probably is not, if the XFL called tomorrow, they would have to have like a meeting, be like, do we want this guy? And this guy's starting for the Bengals. AJ Green he's healthy, and then he's like, what? Finley's starting? My backup's what? Dalton? Nah, we're good. I'm good. Oh, I'm out. I'm back out. Like, he's not going back out there. So Bengals get beat by 40. Atlanta's one of those teams that has a bad record, but it's a decent football team. And most teams can't say that are a bad team this year. If you're a 2-7 type team, the Jets, the Dolphins, these are bad football teams. The Giants, Falcons are a better team than their record. I mean, so losing to them, it hurts. But if they lost to the Bengals by this, I would be ready to say right now, you know what?
Way they lost.
Yeah.
I mean, they were manhandled on the offensive line of scrimmage. I mean, you can understand Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, catching fire. You can understand like the Falcons putting up some points because of the roster, the guys that they have. But I did not expect, especially a week where, for the first time since like week 1 or 2, where you have Breeze, Thomas, and Kamara back on the field at the same time, for as good as they've looked, for them to come out and play that way, that was what was shocking.
Could it have been just a huge, giant LSU hangover for everybody? Like they're saying, like I'm in Louisiana, and they're just out there
Ohio State anyway.
Well,
by the way,
that's true.
Teddy's sitting back there, and people are like, "Yeah, are you going to leave us at the end of the year?" And he watched that game, and he's like, "I think I'm gonna hang out for a little while."
QB controversy.
By the way, now that we got the two in the room, your point about Eli Apple, by the way, since we got an Ohio State guy, what did you say about him?
Oh, Eli Apple?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just think he is just a terrible corner.
I'm playing like Steve Wilkos here now, guys. If you want to have this, no, I think no, but he. I mean, look, their whole team, Von Bell, they got. Latimer is one of the best players in the game.
He's played better this year, but of course when he was with the Giants, things like that, a lot of controversy between all those people.
You're not. I mean, I won't disagree.
I just thought he was going to be better coming out of college. I've been highly disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be an Apple a fan. You don't have to. I mean, I think he's really not even the kind of guy though that is going to change the dynamics of the team. They've got other guys. He's sort of that borderline, putting him in a nickel spot, in the game. So when we look right now, if I'm a Saints fan, my worry meter on that though, personally, is nothing, because you've proven the other side. You've proven you can dominate teams. But the Pac-12 just fired their refs, so maybe they're going to send them down for the playoff games there. By the way, did you see that? Like, it happened to a Mike Leach team out of everybody. Like, they called, if you didn't know, and you probably weren't watching, I'm sure, unless you're Washington State, part of the Cougar Network, one of my favorites, or California, you were probably not watching that game between Cal and Washington State. But they called a 15-yard face mask personal foul on the opposite team and never changed it. It was on the completely wrong team, and they never went back and fixed it, and it cost them, or at least it's a good excuse for why Washington State stinks this year. When we come back, we're going to get some more on some of the great rivalries. We'll also talk a little bit more on, Edo's comments on what he made and what we think of it. It's all coming back right here on this a Monday edition of the Sports Drive, ESPN Pensacola and Blab TV.
There's a lot going on right now, and broadcasters are on the ground covering all of it, bringing you the weather, the traffic, and breaking news, all while entertaining you 24 hours a day. Someone needs to tell you what's going on around the world and in our hometowns, and that someone is us. We are free radio. We are always there. We are broadcasters. Visit wearebroadcasters.com or text radio to 52886 to learn more. Furnished by NAB and this station.
Saturdays are meant for sports, so Sports Call with Davis and Justin is here to kick off your sports weekend.
College football, the NFL, the MLB, the NBA, the PGA Tour. If it's happening on Saturday, we're talking about it.
Plus, weekly interviews with the players, coaches, and fellow journalists.
Be a part of the show by calling or texting in at 623-1330.
Sports Call with Davis and Justin every Saturday from 11 to 1 on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
To give batters a different look, pitchers throw a changeup.
Your idea of a different look is sunglasses.
That's true. But La Quinta Inns and Suites is really taking the different look thing to a new level.
Definitely a major league makeover, starting with a bolder, brighter lobby full of comfortable spaces to let you settle in.
Or chill out in front of a big flat screen like Wingo would.
Oh, you know it. It's a changing La Quinta look to help you get in the zone and look sharp when you hit that big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com.
There's nothing like eating outside in downtown Pensacola. You know, with shoppers walking by your sidewalk table, checking out your food, and even bumping into your chair.
Hey!
Except at Scopolo's new outdoor patio, your safe haven from the sidewalk. This covered oasis along Palafox is your place for sports with TVs, exclusive outdoor menu with meaty food flights, vegan bites, and comfort food and cocktail with your four-legged best friend. Scopolo's Outdoors, 600 South Palafox in downtown Pensacola.
ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM is accepting applications for employment. Periodically, we have openings in sales, business, news, promotions, engineering, production, and programming. We'll keep your application for consideration when such an opening occurs. We also provide internships for qualified students. Apply online at ESPNpensacola.com or at our studios at 7251 Plantation Road behind University Town Plaza. ADX Communications is an equal opportunity employer.
Pensacola is loaded with famous athletes, and when it comes to seeing a chiropractor for their sports injuries, there is one team they trust, Doctors Edwin Roberts. A family tradition for 3 generations, Doctors Edwin Roberts Chiropractic, next to Legendary Fitness on Mobile Highway, has helped champion athletes like Emmett Smith and Trent Richardson. Doctors Roberts specialize in relieving auto accident pain to physicals for the student athlete. The best treatment for sports injuries is prevention. Call 912-4155 for a free consultation and change your life forever.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Pride of the Northwest, folks, out here.
Purple and gold. Purple and gold.
Come on, sing it, Jeff. Come on. Da 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 da. That's the official song of Alabama after last week's game. It was a little bit rough. Overall, though, Edo made some comments, and today I thought it was funny. He actually went out there and he was talking about what he was going to do, and he was like, "Well, I'm going to go home, get on the couch, eat a ham sandwich, and watch SportsCenter." Be like, sounds good to me. That's what we. I mean,
yeah.
Edo is the kind of guy that you can relate to in a way, not maybe language or Red Bulls intake, but the kind of coach that he doesn't look like he does get that spot that's designated to him in the corner in the Baton Rouge place that you can't spell, like the El Xavier Lagniappe. He doesn't come in suit and tie and be like, yes.
No, he's
please
authentic.
Kick out that. He's authentic.
He's not afraid to let people see that.
If we threw a bunch of crawfish for a boil on this table, he would just walk right up and start having a conversation. That would be it'd be disgusting. We'd probably get sued here for the
he had
all
a really
this equipment.
Good moment. We were of course some videos came out of him after the Alabama game, but a week before against Auburn, he had a pretty cool moment where two guys and their names escape me. I think one of them is Cowart for Auburn, the defensive lineman. And Coward may have I don't know their names, forgive me, but two guys that he was recruiting.
Yes.
And he came up to them afterwards, was hugging them both, like they were on his team and saying you guys are tough, first round pick. I told you that when I was recruiting you, good to see you guys. That's the type of guy he is, and that's good to see. I'm so happy for, you think USC would like to have him right now, Or were they they like to have him and Joe Burrow, but we get it.
Well, I'm going to just say yes, obviously. Joe Burrow, and it's not coincidence that he all of a sudden, because remember, they got goose-egged last year at home. At home, they got goose-egged, 29-0. Regardless, you're like, well, that was a better team. They had Dylan Moses, was healthy. Doesn't matter. Joe Burrow was able to fly because Joe Brady's worked with him. And you also have a defensive mind in Dave Aranda that brought a good game plan. Look, there was 1,000 yards of offense in this game. They scored 41 points. But LSU did enough to win that game. There was a fascinating stat that in a game where Tua has 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, and a starting running back gets over 120 yards. He had 146 and a touchdown in Najee Harris. The average score of those games at home during the course of their time is 51-7 calculated. Pretty much 51-7 is what the outcome of that game if you base the stats. They lost 46-41. So it was, I mean, LSU did everything they could to win that game. And tip of the cap. This is what Coach O had to say after the game in their locker room. And I believe it's the healthy version, or this will be the end of our show.
All right.
So.
Change the narrative. You understand that? Yes, sir.
We're going to beat their in recruiting. We're going to beat their every time they see us.
Oh, God.
You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Roll Tide, what?
There we go. Based on the, like you just saw Santa Claus at the mall for the kids at the end. Based on that, I will say, he made his point. Now, first off, my Facebook and social media and Twitter is also swamped with a lot of Alabama fans, as all of ours are in this area, if you're friends with anybody. And people are like, disgusting, humiliating. Okay, you're upset. You're upset, obviously. I get it. That's okay to grieve. But it's his locker room, first off. Let's make that point. If you played any sport, first off, if you're making that comment and you're like, I've never seen that. Well, you're losing brownie points because you've never played football in a locker room. And not everybody speaks that. We had a guy from Minnesota that used words like holy buckets and that's a bunch of hooey instead of cuss words. But and we actually got him a bucket. And anytime someone actually cursed, they had to put different like quarters and dollars into it. It was pretty funny. But looking at this story here, it's his locker room. It's after the biggest win. He's 19 Red Bulls deep. He's energized. He is living it. And by the way, for that comment, the people that pay him, the hands that feed him, hear that, and they want to give him a raise.
The hands that feed him.
The hands that feed him.
He's not getting fed by that,
So at this point, everything for him, for him recruiting the kids, the way that they look at that in his locker room, in his safe zone, the one safe zone you have of a football player, and all that. So the only person I'm upset with is whoever leaked the video and ended up being a guy that has got just some dude that is going to lose any kind of credential or pass to any game.
Well,
but
it was a player. It was one of his players
that
who
shared it.
It was a live video.
Yeah.
And he was just kind of looking at the screen.
Yeah.
And so he wasn't videotaping. Oh, you could just kind of hear in the background. And that's the second time I think in the last couple of weeks this has happened. Again, I personally like it. I like the emotion. On the field after the game, there were some media members around there, and he was getting everybody in, and they were saying like, this is our field, something like that. So clearly an emotion. So I'm probably just going up to the player and saying, hey man, when we're in the locker room, when there's no media around, when we're kicking all the parents out, what we say in here stays in here, but everything else, like I'm totally cool with it. After the game, I saw another video of some of the LSU players. They were going over to the section where Alabama's recruits were that night, and they were coming up to them, kind of yakking them at them, and say, hey, like why don't you come play with us?
Yeah, you need to reconsider.
So, so there was a lot of that going on. So yeah, I mean, I like all of it.
And all these things that people say. I mean, if you made jokes in the days of Jeff Foxworthy or things like that, and all this, and sometimes you learn your audience. He's in his locker room. He's not first off. He would not say that on national TV. He said some things, but and somebody made the comment. First off, whoever is casting stones, throwing stones right now at Ed O, you better not be anybody, which is everybody, that has probably put an Edo meme or some kind of joke about Edo on there, because that would be very hypocritical. Because Edo is like the person that I saw, like Edo's. This was like from a guy that actually works for ESPN, and he's like Edo's pregame speech. A cat walked across the keyboard, and then go Tigers. Like that way. I mean, with everybody that says these kind of things, like Edo has the right to say one thing when, if you're going to if I was Edo, I'd have fun with it. Like, oh, you understand what I'm saying today? You understand now? You want to, okay, like we heard that, but you don't hear anything else I say? Go Tigers. You just got to realize the situation it is and who you're in front of. If you said, what's Mexico's favorite phone company, and you said Taco Bell, that doesn't make, if you said that in front of a group of people down at a game in Tijuana, you'd probably not say that compared to maybe with jokes like we just said to only us three in the room, obviously. The only people that heard that. So, it's just the fun parts of that. When we come back, we are going to talk a little more about those great rivalries in sports, and we're going to get to more on the best players and Lamar Jackson. What a heck of a running back he is. Coming back for more right here on ESPN Pensacola and Blab TV.
Happy Honda Days sales event is here. Gobble up the deals at Pensacola Honda. Get a 2019 Honda Pilot 2-wheel drive EX for only $389 per month, $39.99 down. You own it. Or how about a 2019 Honda Civic Sedan continuously variable transmission LX for only $139 a month, 36-month lease, $39.99 due at signing. Rates as low as 0.9 APR on 2019 Ridgeline models. See dealer for details online at PensacolaHonda.com or the Pensacola Honda showroom, home of the one price, low price guarantee.
There's a lot going on right now, and broadcasters are on the ground covering all of it, bringing you the weather, the traffic, and breaking news, all while entertaining you 24 hours a day. Someone needs to tell you what's going on around the world and in our hometowns, and that someone is us. We are free radio. We are always there.
We are broadcasters. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Jackson Pace Pharmacy has exciting news for ED patients. Viagra 100 milligram generic is finally here. Get it today. 30 tablets for $80, less than $3 a pill. You heard right. Viagra 100 milligram generic is less than $3 a tablet. A prescription from your doctor is required, so stop by Jackson Pace Pharmacy and cash in on the savings today. 2256 West 9 Mile Road in Pensacola.
There's a lot going on right now, and broadcasters are on the ground covering all of it, bringing you the weather, the traffic, and breaking news, all while entertaining you 24 hours a day. Someone needs to tell you what's going on around the world and in our hometowns, and that someone is us. We are free radio. We are always there. We are broadcasters. Visit wearebroadcasters.com or text radio to 52886 to learn more. Furnished by NAB and this station.
ESPN Radio is taking over ESPN News. You can now watch your favorite radio shows all in one place. From Golick and Wingo.
Oh, yeah.
To the Dan Levitard Show with Stugotz.
All right, I'm available every day, thanks.
To the Stephen A. Smith Show.
I just don't understand this guy.
To the Will Kane Show.
It's my job to tell the truth.
From morning to night, the best of ESPN Radio is now available on ESPN News.
Bowling is a sport that will last you a lifetime, and at Cordova Lanes on Airport Boulevard, every night there is something exciting happening. Like on Tuesday and Thursday, it's penny a pin. Bowl 100, pay $1. Or how about starting your weekend off right by reserving a lane for just $25 at Moonlight Bowling. Enjoy a fresh-made pizza and the lowest pitcher prices in Pensacola. So what are you waiting for? It's time to roll your way into Cordova Lanes and experience fun like never before.
Talk football every day with Pensacola's own Coach K.
Credit a great performance by Garoppolo. And I love the way he throws the football. He's got all the things going for him.
Every weekday, noon till 1 on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 FM 99.1.
ESPN Pensacola is your home to UWF Argos football. Catch every game, home or away, on Pensacola's home for local sports. ESPN Pensacola 1330 FM 99.1.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
And welcome back. Sports Drive final segment goes now. Got a couple minutes left. Thank you to all the veterans out there that have served us in our military. We can't thank you guys enough. Getting a chance to argue about memes and Edo comments and LSU, Alabama, giving us that opportunity and the freedom to do so. Thank you for your services and more important things each and every day. And, I think the one thing about the NFL right now is, for the first time in a while, even and with the shirt I have on and all, and people on radio like, I don't know what's happening, but it is, as a Patriot fan, and now those people that didn't know are now ticked. But as a Patriot fan, I got to say, I'm sitting here thinking it's going to be an exciting playoffs this year, because Lamar Jackson and Baltimore are getting better and better, and he's gaining more confidence, and they figured out a blueprint to just get a big, nasty. They got like 8 tight ends when they go to that. Their whole package are these huge jumbos, and those guys are football players. Very rarely today you get a lot of good athletes,
good receivers too.
Yeah, they do, and they have good play. Earl Thomas, he's one of those guys that could easily on a bad team. Like if he's on Cincinnati right now, he'd probably be like, where is there any place to get some Skyline chili? Like not really worrying that much about his contract as much as now he's on a team that's got a legit shot. And the plays he made, he was the one vet that's like, hey, I'm older than you, Tom. I know you, Brady, out there like making plays against them. They got players all over that team. And Lamar Jackson, you can find a way to have a blueprint to try to stop him, but he's the type of athlete. That Michael Vick spin move was pretty awesome this week. And, they annihilated Cincinnati. But I have no words. Even when the Patriots made a comeback against them, they found a way to pull away, and that 14-point swing with Edelman. I know you guys have been saying, and Joe, the laughs about being a good running back, but not you.
Well,
but
the list is very short of quarterbacks who have multiple games of perfect quarterback rating, and quarterback rating. We can say how flawed it is, or is it really a true measurement of a quarterback's performance? But Lamar has 2 now in the same season, and you can say, but it was the Dolphins and it was the Bengals, but nobody else has done it against. I love. I have him on my fantasy team, so I'm all in on the Lamar Jackson experience right now.
Jeff, is there anything cooler than running the triple Heisman attack right there? Like I saw that, and I'm like, okay, I have no accuracy here. I cannot prove this, but that has to be the most Heisman in one play. And I know the Archie Griffin thing with 2 is good, but that's only one guy. And Jeff Davis would be the guy that did the research. Of course, he's like, Chad, I have done it. 9 people have had 2. You're the only one. I'm like, okay, good. I'm safe on that. But 3 guys in the backfield. First off, I bet half the people out there, we follow football, but I bet half the people saw that are like, RG3 still in the league? But he's back there. He got the ball. That was irrelevant in there, though. You had a triple option attack with 3 Heisman Trophy winners with Mark Ingram, RG3, and Lamar Jackson. That's pretty cool right there. There's never been – that might be the coolest play in NFL history. Not the actual design, but just having them in one backfield.
Well, I think it goes back to you said they're getting better. And I think that you look at a team that they're not trying to establish who they are anymore. They're out there having fun. And plays like that, you have to scheme for.
Mm-hmm.
Like, your Patriots didn't scheme for that.
All right.
But,
This is not the point of this.
Anyway.
But it's amazing to me how few teams really seem to get the idea that your entire foundation, your system should be based upon the people that you draft. All right, you drafted Lamar Jackson for a reason. They're not trying to make him something that he's not. And there's teams looking at the Bears with Mitch Trubisky. I think the Titans to a certain degree with Marcus Mariota. They tried to make him into this prototypical model quarterback. Well, the Ravens want nothing to do with that. And for a lot of people, it's like, well, he's got a short shelf life because he runs too much, and that may be true, but it also may not be true, because when's the last time you saw somebody get a direct shot on him? He can get hit. He can get hit hard just as easily standing in the pocket as he is running. Probably even more easily standing in the pocket than he is, because he's so quick and elusive. But I love what the Ravens are doing. Their personnel, like you were saying, Chad, is so unique, because they have the 3 tight ends. There's Boyle, there's Mark Andrews, Hayden Hurst. All 3 are really good blockers, but they're all 3 really good pass catchers as well. So you have Lamar, faking the option or the handoff to Mark Ingram. He's running around. The defense is all of a sudden, they're flying to the football, and then you've got 3 tight ends out on the field, and all 3 of them can catch. I don't know how you can really slow them down that much.
Guys, appreciate it. We enjoyed it today. Had some fun, and looking forward to doing it again soon.
Absolutely.
All right. For all of us here, thanks for watching on Blab TV, ESPN Pensacola. We're going to be back with you guys tomorrow.
We forgot.
Rivalries.
Darn it.
Tomorrow on the show. We'll get to more on that on the show tomorrow. We will make sure of that. Thanks for joining us here on Blab TV and ESPN Pensacola.
I think sometimes of General Matthew Ridgway, who, the night before D-Day, tossed sleepless on his cot, and talked to the Lord and listened for the promise that God made to Joshua. I will not fail thee nor forsake thee. We're surrounded today by the dead of our wars. We owe them a debt we can never repay. All we can do is remember them and what they did and why they had to be brave for us. All we can do is try to see that other young men never have to join them. Today, as never before, we must pledge to remember the things that will continue the peace. Today, as never before, we must pray for God's help in broadening and deepening the peace we enjoy. Let us pray for freedom and justice and a more stable world. And let us make a compact today with the dead, a promise in the words for which General Ridgway listened: I will not fail thee nor forsake thee.
Football is here. Catch all of the UWF Argos games and the big NFL games every Saturday and Sunday on Pensacola's home for hometown sports. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. If you would like to be a part of ESPN Pensacola as a sponsor or promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000 or visit our website at ESPNpensacola.com.
ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Steve Lennox. 7-2 Seahawks, 8-0 49ers. Kickoff in about 15 minutes from Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara, California. First time since Thanksgiving night 2014 where both these teams enter with a matchup and they have winning records. Russell